Hello, this is a homily for the first Sunday of Advent. As you know, we finished the liturgical calendar essentially yesterday, which would have been Saturday. And we've begun the new cycle, the new year, which will take us through the history of salvation, starting with the birth of the infant at Christmas all the way through to the second coming of Jesus Christ, which we celebrated essentially last Sunday, because we just go through the same cycle each year. Now we do this because we are supposed to be meeting Jesus Christ more and more and more during the course of each year, and so we want to walk more and more closely with him as he goes through his life, because essentially he is remaking us. He is transforming us by his grace and his truth, and making us into the perfect human beings who will be able to stand before God at the end of time. So that's the reason for going through the cycle of the life of Jesus again and again, so that we become absorbed into who Jesus is and what he does. This is what we've been told should happen by revelation. This is not something we made up on our own. Getting to the readings for today, we first of all have a piece of the book of Isaiah, and it starts right at the beginning of the book of Isaiah with an introduction that he is the son of Amos, and this is what he saw concerning Judah and Jerusalem. Now, at the time that we are talking about here, the time when Isaiah is starting to prophesy, this is the time of world power politics in the Middle East. And so you have the Assyrians and the various competing nations essentially squeezing Judah and Israel to join their alliances, either by cooperation or to simply be invaded and to put up with whatever happens from then on. So in the middle of this very tense time, which you could compare to the Cold War in Europe in the 50s, for example, in this time of what is still a Cold War, the invasion hasn't happened yet, you have Isaiah being inspired by God to offer an oracle of encouragement. And so he says, "In days to come, the mountain of the Lord's house shall be established at the highest mountain. All nations shall stream toward it." He's saying that for his time. That in fact, whatever you see going on around you, talking to the people of Jerusalem, whatever you see going around you, don't be afraid, because the Lord has chosen this city, Jerusalem, as the place where essentially God is going to make contact with humanity. And so what he's saying is, be encouraged by that. Rejoice in that. And in fact, the psalm is going to just pick up that theme shortly. But rejoice in that, because all nations are going to see the importance of God's connection with humanity in Jerusalem. And so don't be discouraged. Now, that is a message to us, first of all, that God is going to act, and yes, he will. His son will be born. We'll celebrate that on the 25th of December. But we are, first of all, going to prepare ourselves for that. We are going to have a season of Advent, preparing for his coming, so that we have the right attitude for celebrating Christmas. And of course, with the commercialization of Christmas, this is not a bad idea to get the religious perspective on what's going to happen on the 25th of December. Now, Isaiah goes on, he says, from Zion, that's the mountain in Jerusalem, shall go forth instruction, the word of the Lord from Jerusalem. He shall judge between nations and impose terms on many peoples. And then you have this magnificent image of the swords being hammered into plowshares and the spears into pruning hooks and so forth. O house of Jacob, he finishes off here, come, let us walk in the light of the Lord. So the light of the Lord is coming. The light of the Lord is going to transform the way the world works, the swords into plowshares idea, and this is going to be the word, the truth to all nations that will go forth from Jerusalem. The psalm then picks this up. Let us go rejoicing to the house of the Lord, which of course is in Jerusalem. It is the temple. We will go up to the house of the Lord, and now we set foot within your gates, O Jerusalem. He goes on, the psalmist goes on to describe Jerusalem. In it are the seats of judgment, the seats for the house of David. Because in fact, even the writer of the psalm is expecting a coming time of judgment. So we have been warned already in a subtle way that judgment is going to come through this important figure who was being announced in the Isaiah text. And he's first of all going to come in one way, and then he's going to come as judge. We heard about all that last Sunday. May those who love you, this is God now, may they find peace within your walls, prosperity in your buildings. Again, the theme of peace, the swords into plowshares image from Isaiah. Shifting then to the New Testament, we have Paul's writing to the Romans, and this is chapter 13 of Romans, and Paul is saying, it's the hour now for you to awake from sleep. So, we've first of all heard that God is going to do wondrous things, and now we have heard what is our part in all this. It's being awake. It's paying attention to what God is doing. Because just as we are meant to walk with Jesus, we are meant to attend to him. So we become more like Jesus through the 24 hours of the day. But put on the Lord Jesus Christ, make no provision for the desires of the flesh. There is Paul's instruction to us, and it's very straightforward stuff. Show us, Lord, this is the gospel acclamation, your love, grant us your salvation. And then Jesus himself, he goes back to the days of Noah and says, look, even in the days of Noah, there were people eating and drinking and getting married. They didn't know that the flood was coming. All right? Essentially, he's saying to you, you do know the flood is coming. And he's talking about what will happen after his death, resurrection. It will be the second coming. So he gives us this little parable. 2 men will be out in the field. One will be taken, the other will be left. So therefore stay awake, for you do not know the day on which your Lord will come. And this is the ambiguity of Advent. Jesus has already come. He's already saved the world by dying on the cross. He has created his church to spread that message around the world, and we are now being challenged to participate in that and basically to get ready for the next coming. So Advent has this double preparation, and we need to see to both of them in our lives. Thank you.